Hey, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you're having a great and a blessed day or a blessed night and a blessed future as well as the present moment. So I just finished I finished the whole book of Super Attractor by Gabrielle Bernstein. In the last video I called her Gabrielle. I don't know why I read her name that way. It's Gabriella. Anyway, I wanted to mention a couple things that I saw very important from chapter 5 called Lifting the Veil from her book. And this is the quote. This is the quote right here. It says, as long as we remain convinced that the physical world is our only reality, miracles will remain unseen. We've been encouraged to focus on the physical world of form, which has put us into the habit of denying the light. What I got the mostly out of this quote, this message from her chapter, is we're so focused on forcing things to happen. We're so focused on the physical aspects, such as making things happen, looking around us, and our desires are not coming into form, or whatever it might be, that we completely miss that the universe and God is continuously planning and making all these meticulous details happening always in your favor, as long as you believe that that is what God is doing for you. But we cannot be in this feeling. We cannot be like that unless we feel connected to God by being grateful, by being aware, by being in the present moment. And this relates to the other book by Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself and Becoming Supernatural. Both are his books. And he starts to talk about the quantum world and how when we put our observation and our attention on a specific point, then like the electron, so basically he talks about like the electron cloud with an atom. And when we observe that, then it picks a point in the electron cloud. So if there's like an infinite amount of places that this electron could be, once we observe it, it picks a place. And this is directly influenced by us, the observer. And this happens all throughout life when we start to observe the reality that we want. So, and then he gets into how our brain is influencing us. Our brain is very, very powerful, but it's supposed to be a tool, just like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a beautiful house, build something amazing, or you can use a hammer to hurt somebody. So it's really how you want to use the tool. So the brain, right? He says that our brains are extremely strong, extremely powerful, and they might be influencing us as well as the body rather than us controlling it. So how does that happen? The body and the brain start to influence us when we allow it to, when we start to listen to the thoughts that it's trying to bring to us, and that is based on all of our past experiences. If we had a bad experience at a certain place, let's just say, right, I don't know, let's just say you had a bad experience at a certain place. I can't think of an example. When you go back to this place, you're going to have thoughts that's going to reaffirm how you felt from before, because our body and brain is always trying to predict the future, which we cannot do. And if we're trying to always predict the future, then we're not living in the present moment. When we're trying to predict the future, that is when we're living in the fear and maybe even hopelessness, uncertainty, because there's no way you're going to be able to predict. If you could predict the future, you would not have any surprises. And I don't think, if you can remember all the times you had something really good come into your life, you probably did not know exactly how that was going to happen, and things just all kind of worked out together. I'm sure you can think of a couple examples of maybe you lost a job and then it led to X, Y, and Z happening, and maybe you were upset, and then, or maybe you were not, and then you were hopeful, and then something happened. I know somebody of this and that, whatever, and now you have a better job, or whatever it might be. You'll notice that these synchronicities, these coincidences, are always working out in your favor as long as we have the faith that this is what God is doing for us. Now that we know all of this about being into the present moment and that we're using our brains wrong, right? What are we supposed to do? I mean, tell me, Ayoub, like you tell me I'm doing all this stuff wrong, basically, or not using it correctly, or that there's more out there, but you're not giving me a solution. So I'm gonna give you a solution right now. Joe Dispenza, he describes the place that you want to be is called the gap. Right? So what's the gap? It's not a gap between your teeth. It's it's the gap between thoughts. The gap between thoughts. That's really where it is. So if you've ever been in the flow state, which I'm sure you have been, whether it's playing sports or drawing or making music, usually you're doing something, you're really focused on what you're doing. you're not really thinking anymore. The thought, you don't have to really analyze your thoughts. The moment you start analyzing your thoughts, now you're thinking instead of being. So he explains the gap is the moment between thoughts. So if you have a thought that comes in, we take a breath, take a wait, just bring awareness to the gap between the thoughts. That is when you're 100% consciously being, and that's when you're in the present moment. Let's do that right now. Okay, so maybe you were like, what the heck is this guy doing? Whatever, but we're in the present moment. When we are in the present moment, that is when our future and our present is being created. Every single second that goes by in the present moment is when you're creating your future. So by thinking of the future, you're missing out on the present, which means you're not making the future that you want. So one of my notes here says, to summarize the whole entire gap thing, is the gap is the space between thoughts where the mind is silent and the body is still. To enter the gap, focus on the space between your breaths and the stillness between thoughts. In this state, you are no longer thinking, you are simply being. This is where you can access the quantum field and receive guidance, inspiration, or healing. So that is everything you need to know about the gap. What I most definitely hope for you today is that you're going to spend more time, put more of your awareness on when you're overthinking and overanalyzing your own thoughts. And then remind yourself to come back into the present moment. I do have an induction meditation. So we got to practice, right? I explained this in a previous video as well. I think literally the last video is we need to practice, because practice is what's going to make us be able to do it easier later. You're not going to go onto the basketball court and be an NBA player, make every single free throw without practicing free throws. So we're going to practice getting into the gap, getting into the meditation by doing something called an induction meditation. Induction meditation is how Joe Dispenza describes it as putting our attention on the space of our body. This could be the space. So I have this whole meditation in my Patreon below, but we focus on the space between our eyes, the space between our temples. Then we start to focus on the space around our ears, the space around the column of our spine, the space around our upper torso, our rib cage, our heart, our abdomen, our legs, our knees, the space between our knees and legs, our toes, and then the space around our body. And then the space around our body and like our room, and then the entire beyond that as well. We're basically moving our focus into something what he calls open space. When we do that, we're becoming extremely in touch with our unconscious in the present moment and our bodies, which is where, like I said, the unconscious lies. And when we do this, this is how we're practicing getting into the gap, getting into the open focus where we can then create and live the type of life that we want to live. But the moment we start to have doubts and uncertainties back in our mind about, oh, am I even going to have this thing? What do I need to do? How am I going to solve it? All these different types of questions that is not really, you don't need to answer them. The answer will not come from you. I'm going to give you, this reminded me of Albert Einstein and also Nikola Tesla. They used to take a lot of naps, right? They would have a problem and they're thinking and imagining how to solve these different problems. Albert Einstein thought about like the speed of light when he was, I remember the story goes, he was imagining riding a motorcycle at the speed of light and what would happen if you turn on the headlights. So he's imagining, and that's how he was able to think about, oh, well, what is the speed of light, and etc., just by imagining. And the reason I'm mentioning them is because when they said they used to take a lot of naps, because the answer would come to them from the greater consciousness, from the universe, from God. It's not really them figuring it out, but because they're able to relax, receive, imagine, and focus without stressing themselves over how to figure it out, the answer then comes to you. And there is one more example I want to give you, another story, and this is, I'm not sure which book this comes from. Anyway, if I find the book, I'll tell you in the comments below. But basically, this guy, he was like an archeologist, right? And he found some kind of like fossil in a rock, and he's never seen it before. So he doesn't want to like remove the dust and the dirt and the debris because he doesn't know where the bones are. He doesn't want to mess it up. And he just could not figure it out. But one day when he fell asleep, he had a dream of how it looked. But when he woke up, he could not remember it clearly. And this happened multiple days in a row. So then he decided, I'm going to leave a sketchbook next to my bed. And when he woke up in the dream, he drew it in the dark. He just drew it the moment he remembered he woke up, he drew it. And the way he dreamt it is exactly how it was in real life. So we could see that this guidance, this knowledge, we receive the knowledge from the higher power. And then I have one more thing left to show you. This is a verse from the Quran. It is chapter 2, verse 255. This is, people say, is one of the most powerful verses in the Quran. And this describes who the Creator is. Just to hear this one out. It says, Allah, there is no God worthy of worship except Him, the ever-living, all-sustaining. Neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes Him. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. Who could possibly intercede with Him without His permission? He fully knows what is ahead of them and what is behind them, but no one can grasp any of His knowledge except what He wills to reveal. His seat encompasses the heavens and the earth, and the preservation of both does not tire Him, for He is the Most High, the Greatest. And this one line here, but no one can grasp any of His knowledge except what He wills to reveal. This has shown me that even all this knowledge that we have about technology, microphones, cameras, all this stuff has come from Allah, which is our Creator, or God. Allah means God. It means the highest in Arabic. And this is the same thing that these books are teaching me, from Joe Dispenza, from Super Attractor, Gabrielle Bernstein, about how to manifest, your life and desires. And whatever it is you want. It's basically putting trust back into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, into the universe, into God, into your Creator. I have to use many words here because in our language, you might not feel, when I say Allah, you're like, oh, I've never heard of that. Who is that? It's very different for you than how it means to you, than how it means to me. So I have to put in a lot of words here, such as Allah, God, the Creator, the universe, the higher power, the spiritual energy, so many different words. Whatever really resonates with you, that is who I'm talking about. The same thing, the Creator. Yes. So anyway, I hope you definitely got some value out of this, and I really hope you will start practicing some of those things I mentioned. If you do want to do a short induction meditation, it's a really quick one. I'm going to have 2 links below. One is one that I made. It's the same thing that Joe Dispenza has, but I just decided to make it. It's in my Patreon for free. You could join there, and I would like, if you join, you just sign in with Google. You'll get notifications and updates and my notes, etc. And I also have a Discord community that I'm starting that's going to be for manifestation, to be with like-minded people, to get advice, and we're going to have like weekly group calls, etc. That is also going to be in the comments below and in the description. Oh, and I got one more thing for you. There's going to be a course that I'm making, like a coaching setup course program, that is only going to be about 1 to 2 months long, because that's all it's going to take. And it's going to be March 1st. You're going to learn everything you need to know about how to manifest whatever you desire, whatever you want. And that's going to be all listed out for you, nice and clear. But you're also going to get the discipline. You're going to be able to, and you're going to get, like I said, the coaching from me one-on-one and weekly group calls. So I'm really excited for that. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Like I said, I'm really excited for this to get going, and I really need your feedback for this. Thank you.